I'm glad to get the opportunity to talk on this very important bill, and to also thank Claire Daly for her input and her long-standing work on this in this matter in parts of the bill. I suppose the coroner service, which is operated by the local authorities, in many instances for families is the final verification of what happened their loved one, and in all occasions it's a very sad time for families, and so many families have to endure and wait for this inquest, which in some cases takes a very long time. And I would ask that going forward that these inquests would be expedited, because if they go on for a long time and families are kind of getting back and starting to live without their loved one, but the inquest brings it all back again maybe 2 or 3 years later, that's not good enough. I think inquest should happen a lot sooner. I suppose the key provisions of the bill include clarifying that the purpose of the inquest goes beyond establishing the medical cause of the death, and to establishing the circumstances in which the death took place. I suppose farm accidents or road accidents, it's one thing to know, and it's very final and it's very sad to how the person died medically, but what caused the accident is very important to determine, so that we could eliminate that cause or that case, or a case like that ever happening again. I think that's a very important aspect of this bill, and strengthening the coroner's powers to summon witnesses to an inquest and to direct a witness to produce documents and evidence and to answer questions. And I think that's only fair, because again families are waiting for the truth, and that's very important. And I suppose in some cases witnesses maybe after travelling very far away, and when the inquest takes place, they have to travel a very long distance, and maybe they don't have finances. Things like that have to be taken into account, and to try to help or finance someone who's having a difficulty coming to the inquest. New powers for the coroner acting under a warrant from the district court to enter and inspect premises and to take copies or possession of documents, material relevant to the inquest. Very important, because otherwise cases and the truth will not be made available. And it's very important, and appropriate penalties for witnesses not cooperating with the inquest. I believe that's very important also. I suppose at this juncture I'd like to thank our own coroner in Kerry, who was our coroner for many years. He retired last year, Terence Casey, after giving more than 20 years service to South Kerry, and he did a wonderful job in tough conditions, and when I say tough conditions, it's always tough when we have to go through the real aspects of what happened, and sometimes that's very tough, and you need good people to be able to withstand what they see. And we're also very lucky in relation to farm accidents and road accidents that we have Inspector Jim O'Brien, and who operates out of Tralee, and he's doing a tough job brilliantly. He has massive and vast experience, and he's most helpful, and he is the person who is doing a tough job in our part of the world, and we respect him for his expertise and his honesty and the great work that he's doing. There's greater clarity and transparency in the mandatory reporting of certain types of debts, including a detailed list of specific examples of mandatory reportable debts. Well, now, I hope that suicide is not going to be one of these mandatory reportable debts. Suicide is such a tragic death when it happens in a family, and I don't think that any of the public or the public or anyone needs to know what in those instances that it was suicide. I mean, families are gone through enough, and they try to retain their dignity, and I think it would be very unfair on these people if it had to come out publicly that their loved one's death was caused by suicide. It will be an offence for a responsible person not to report a mandatory reportable death to the coroner. I think that's very important. Updating and modernising of the provisions regarding post-mortem examinations to take account of forensic developments and current practice. That's very important as well, because as technology has improved, we need to make provisions for that, and that's very important as well. Reflecting on the provision of Deputy Daly's private members bill regarding maternal deaths, I think that's most important, and should have been there before, but at least we hope it's there going forward. The other thing, I suppose, that when a couple do lose a child, a baby before it's born in mid-birth or whatever, I think that shouldn't be public knowledge to anyone, just to the family themselves, because it's very tough on a couple who may be trying to have a child and lose them before they come into the world. So look, my time is up. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I wish to support the bill here in the Chamber.
5 minutes.